I'm not really a sentimental guy, but the gun in front of you is probably the closest it comes to sentimentality with guns. This here is a 1970 production Colt Series 70 45, of course the classic Series 70 1911, but this is a gun that was worked on by one of the most famous gunsmiths of all time, and then I got it from one of my best friends as a way to help him buy an engagement ring for his now wife. So this gun's got a lot of value to me. Monetarily, it has value, but more so as a thing that I have that is joining together my appreciation of classic gunsmithing and my love for my buddy. So this gun here was worked on by Arman Swenson. If you don't know who Arman Swenson is, I might be a little shocked if you found this video and you're watching this, but he was kind of like the godfather of modern gunsmithing. He did a lot of stuff in an era where you couldn't just buy parts and put them on guns. You had to make them yourself. He kind of came up with the modern 1911 ambidextrous safety. He did a lot of work on making beaver tails. He did things like fitting Smith & Wesson K-frame sights to the 1911 to give you better sights, and then making his own custom front sights. And as such, I mean, this gun, it's in pretty rough shape right now, and we've been working on it. But monetarily, it's worth something, but again, to me, it's worth more as a thing that I want to hold on to. So what exactly did Arman do? What did other people likely do? And then what have we done to this gun? So again, this here is a 1970 production Colt Series 70. I bought it from my buddy Griff, who got it from another person at some point. And the gun was sold to him as a gun that Arman Swenson had worked on, and upon doing research after receipt of the gun, I can pretty much confirm that Arman certainly worked on it. It has a whole lot of his signatures on the gun. Now, the gun wasn't a complete Armand build. He had a very distinct look for his full house guns, where he would do front strap checkering. He would actually heat up the trigger guard and pull it so it'd be squared off. He would do his style of grip safety that would go on the gun. He would do a pretty crazy stipple job, not stipple, but like a checkering job for the mainspring housing. He would do like a tap matting on top of the slide using a file to tap to get a certain look. He would do things like the K-frame sight with a pin here to help keep it more rigid because this likes to shear screws. But then it has a little letter B there, which was the initial for the customer who bought the gun. At one point, these were used, the one on the side of the slide here was used as a barrel positioner to help out with accuracy. But after a while, that wasn't really necessary with quality barrels and barrel bushings. So this is just here as another signature for the customer. This gun is incredibly tight, so I'm not going to pull it apart. But inside of the dust cover, Armand has actually electro-penciled the name of the customer. So whoever got this, their name was Burnett. I don't know if that's a first name or a last name, probably a last name, but you know, it is what it is there. We know that Armand installed these sights because they are straight out of what he's done. We know he did the barrel positioner. The Barstow barrel here is dated December 1979. That's something that he would have done. Barrel bushing's been fit extremely tightly to the point that this thing is kind of guaranteed to eat one side of your wrench whenever you want to take the barrel bushing out. So I've got a stack of old STI 1911 barrel wrenches just because this gun eats through them whenever I try to take it apart. So we know Armand did most of the work on the top end of the gun. Moving down, there was some stuff that was kind of worked on by other people in the past. The mainspring here was chopped down to give the trigger pull a very light pull, but that led to a lot of excessive recoil. The sear was pretty heavily bent to give you a lower trigger pull. And those were things that were a solution at one point, but in the modern day, I'd rather have better stuff, so we've since modified that. The mainspring housing here was checkered by somebody, but as you can see, it's not very even checkering. Like, yeah, we've got more texture here, but it's not super even checkering. So when I first got the gun from Griff, I didn't really monkey with much because I knew I wanted to have someone work on it to do some modifications to make it look more period correct to what Armand was doing, but also to make it a gun that was enjoyable for me to shoot. The gun originally had a standard GI style frame, and the grip safety was like the rat tail tang style. This Colt gun was not very even when it left the factory. Just to give an example here, you can actually see this is the most noticeable line I can think of. See at the top here, we have the profile with the grips. See how it gets wider? It ain't supposed to do that. That's just Colt quality being Colt quality even 54 years ago when this gun left the factory. So there's not a lot of straight lines, and that led to an issue where the tangs being the way that they were, they would actually dive into my hand when I was shooting the gun. So this scar is from shooting this Swenson worked over Series 70 Colt, right? So we wanted to modify it. Now, some people might view this as sacrilege to work on a gun that was already worked on by a big prominent gunsmith, but for me to enjoy this gun, we had to do some stuff to it, right? Now, obviously the gun's not finished. We're still gonna be doing some more fitting and some more modification and then bluing the thing, but I wanted to go over the work that we have since done to the gun since then. So Arman did pretty much all of the work to the top end of this gun. All we've done is respring it. So we put in a new recoil spring. This one in here right now is very stout. It's an 18.5 pound recoil assembly. A lot of companies will sell that as the extra power ones. I like it because it helps to reduce some recoil, but also it helps to keep the gun lasting a little bit longer. Maybe I'll experiment with the 16 pound one, but this is a gun that I'm planning on shooting a fair bit once we got it working, so 18.5 is fine for now. So resprung the new recoil spring there. For the back end of the gun, we have a new Wilson bulletproof extractor. We have a new Wilson titanium firing pin, new springs for everything on the inside. We have a new firing pin stop back here. The hammer is a Wilson stainless steel ring hammer. I like me a good ring hammer. Armand put ring hammers in his guns. I've got no problems with the ring hammer. The grip safety is one that you can't buy that looks like this because we had to heavily modify it. This here is actually a Caspian speed bump grip safety that my buddy Logan reprofiled to remove the speed bump and then chopped into a duckbill style grip safety. And then we reprofiled the frame to being the proper compound radius for this grip safety here. He took a ton of work to do this. And this is the fun thing. I mentioned how uneven this Colt frame is. We actually had to cut the beaver tail uneven to match the lines coming off the frame. I know it sounds so goofy, but having this squared up to being even would have looked more off than if it was just following the odd contours that this gun already had. The manual safety here is one of the Stan Chen short safeties. Little story about this, and this is a positive for Stan Chen Custom and Chen Custom as a whole, but it was an interesting little experience. We bought this grip safety in July, and it took about 4 weeks to get to us. I was in direct contact with one of their head machinists, Daniel, who was giving me updates about it because, you know, they're a small custom shop. They do a lot of parts, though, and he wanted to give me updates about this. We get the manual safety in, and the pin here that runs through the back of the frame was actually out of spec. It was too big. You know, we busted out the calipers and measured it, and it was a couple of thou bigger than it should have been. We tell that to Daniel. He goes and checks, and he finds out that the ones that they have in the shop are also out of spec. And what it was is that they had a test frame at Chen Custom that they were using to make sure that they fit, and the holes in the test frame just got a little bit larger from years and years and years of fitting. Now, we were the only people who had actually received one of these. We were the only ones who had bought one of these safeties. So he was able to catch it before it got out to anyone else, and they did a rush job, like a proper rush, not like a sloppy job. They basically rushed to make us another one and to get it right and to blue it. So obviously, this is on the gun now, and it fits perfectly. We did have to fit it to the gun because when you're fitting parts in 1911, there's always fitting there. But I'm going to bring the gun up to the microphone. Very, very, very positive. Now, I will say it's a very tight fit. We actually had to go through and modify the detent here a little bit to get it to work well. But the fit's great. It feels fantastic in the hand. And it's just been a really nice part. And again, the fact that Daniel and the folks over at Chen Custom admitted that there was a problem and then rectified it. Like, I'm someone that's dealt with enough issues from companies over the last, a handful of years, especially this year. I've bought 2 Smith & Wessons that didn't work properly. I've had a ton of QC issues when it came to wristwatches and other things. The fact that they were so quick to actually fix this is something that I won't say I was surprised by, but I was very pleasantly enthused about. And the fact that they kept me posted during the entire process. So, I'm happy that this part's in the gun. It took a while to get it, but with custom stuff, it takes a while. I'm just thankful that the folks over at Chen Custom were willing to work with us and willing to get the part out to us as quickly as they did after we had that problem there. Moving further down the frame, of course, we have the grip safety that was heavily modified radius and then blended over. We also have the mainspring housing, which even though it wasn't likely chopped up by Arman, someone did this. I actually don't mind how it feels, and I'd rather keep this on the gun because it came with it, it's been on there for a long time, and I like how it feels in the hand. The trigger we have here is the Harrison long trigger. It is a retro look. I like how it looks. I like how it feels. Since we modified the frame, trigger pull in this gun is fantastic. The over travel that we got it to be perfect here. It is really just a perfect trigger pull. Trigger pull gauges can be a little deceiving if you try to use them. The best thing to do would be to hang the gun, not hang it, but to have the gun stationary and then put weights on here to actually get the exact pull. I would say this one's breaking just a hair under 4 pounds as it currently is. It's really quite pleasant. For the grips on here, these are wood caliber black walnut grips. We wanted to spend some big bucks for nice grips for this gun because this is a gun that I'm going to have for a long time. I really dig them. The Harrods are nice, don't get me wrong. These are half the price of these grips. And yeah, obviously, price-wise, like these aren't twice as good as these ones are. But they're about 15% better, and I'm willing to have that on a gun like this. It's going to be with me till the end of time. We haven't tried to bother with reprofiling the mag well. It's going to stay the way it is. And then the next big thing we're doing is going to be to do some final fitting. As you can see here, the grip safety sticks a little bit, and that's just going to be some more fitting that has to get done. We're going to be rebluing most of the gun that needs rebluing, mostly the parts that are in the white that we worked on, and then some small parts. We're going to be doing proper rust bluing for the gun. It's just a matter of finding the time for it. Down the line, I might go for a different insert for the K-frame rear sight here. I'm not worried about the fact that there's a K-frame rear sight on here. I love that because I shoot a lot of K-frames out of these sights. But I wouldn't mind having an insert that's a little bit newer. This one's a little chewed up, and that's easy enough to get. And then from there, once we've finished bluing and gotten all that taken care of, this gun will be getting grip tape. And again, I know some people might say, oh, it's sacrilege, just get it, checkered. Look, this is what I like. It's not a permanent thing. And I really think it does add character because I like the look of a well-worn gun, but it has to have honest wear. It's not wear that you got by taking the gun and scraping it on 2000 grit sandpaper. It has to be actually worn. This gun, as it currently is, the previous couple of owners shot it a whole lot. I mean, this is holster wear through here. The gun's got plenty of front-end muzzle wear from being carried. And this is a gun that I plan on shooting most of the drills with from the holster. I'm not planning on shooting this gun aside from the holster. I do need to get some nice Milt Sparks leather for it. I am, again, a godless heathen that enjoys the feel of an arch mainspring housing. This gun has been in Kydex, and it will be in Kydex again plenty of times. So that's not a concern that I've got there. But yeah, this is just really a unique gun. I've kind of come to appreciate it more and more that I've got it. It's been a fun project for Logan and I to work on, and it's gotten us to communicate with so many different shops, right? When we look at this gun as how it was a gun that was heavily modified by Arman Swenson and other people over the years. But we've got Smith & Wesson parts on here, we've got Barstow parts, obviously Colt parts, but now we've got stuff from Chen Custom, we've got a Wilson Combat part, we have a Caspian part, we've got wood caliber grips, Harrison parts. And what I like is that when it comes to the custom 1911 smithing community, there's a whole lot of companies out there, or I say companies, they're really shops that are a handful of people that are making really good parts. And the idea of, okay, we've got this one part from John Harrison and this other part from Stan Chen and his crew and, Caspian parts, and I just really come to appreciate that. So yeah, I wanted to do a little snapshot video of how this gun is right now because we'll be rebluing it soon and fitting these parts better. The gun looks rough right now because it's not done yet, right? But I wanted to get a video out because it's just a cool gun. So yeah, thanks for watching. We'll have plenty more content here on the channel before too long, whether it's 1911s or revolvers or Glocks or wristwatches. But I wanted to record a couple of videos here because I'm just now getting back into the swing of things after my pretty severe back injury after my car accident last month. So yeah, thanks for watching and take care.